Okay, hello everyone. My name is Laquan Williams, and in this video I wanted to do a review and talk about the Suicide Squad 2 movie. It's perceived to be a soft, I guess you can say a mid-level borderline reboot of the first movie, but considering the fact that it's not, and it's a continuation of what happened in the first movie that was obviously established with half of the same, a third of the same characters in the first movie that it had in the second movie, such as Rick Flag, Captain Boomerang, Harley Quinn, Amanda Waller. I think that's basically it. I don't remember anybody. Oh, and I think Harley Quinn. Yeah, so it's Harley Quinn, Amanda Waller, Captain Boomerang, and Rick Flag. So those four people were in the first movie, are in the second movie. Well, the rest of the cast is obviously completely different and changed with a bunch of people who obviously we don't even know who they are and whatnot, obviously, and made up characters who obviously aren't important because they get killed anyway. So Amanda Waller of Argus sends, who's played by Viola Davis right here again, sends two teams of different members of the factions of the Suicide Squad over to Corto Maltese to take down a new I guess you could say government insurgent. Obviously, it's a coup down there. Basically, she needs the Suicide Squad to take those people out. Obviously, down there, destroy that lab. Obviously, that has Project Starfish in it, and any evidence that's implicating of the U.S. government. Get out of there and leave. Obviously, they do that. They'll have years reduced off their life sentences that they have. Obviously, where they are remaining in behind bars. Obviously, for, I guess it was basically life, basically, for obviously the crimes that they committed again and stuff, because all of them are obviously criminals. Basically what happens is half the team dies, obviously, and you get to see what happens and that happens before what happens to the other half of the team before they get there. The half of the other team, which includes obviously Bloodsport and obviously King Shark and Ratcatcher and the Peacemaker and Captain, I think it was not Captain Polka Dot, I forgot, Polka Dot Man. They all get there, but they don't know that the other team's already there. That's dead. Only one remains. There was Rick Flag and obviously Harley Quinn. The rest of the team died. So basically, obviously, they have to catch them. You have to rescue them as well as destroy that lab down there. So it becomes a overthrowing of a regime / a coup mission over there to them, obviously turning into a mission, a rescue mission as well, with them saving Harley Quinn, Rick Flag, and then killing obviously all those bad guys down there, obviously, and it's a guerrilla militia army, obviously. So compared to the first movie, obviously it's obviously a little bit different because now there's two teams who don't even know each other, split on, who obviously do not meet each other, coming to an island in a big huge country to take down obviously a big army of people and obviously take down an alien threat, which was Starro, big huge starfish, who shoots out many starfish. I guess you can say his offspring or his babies, as you can see right here, and they land on the face of people and it starts sucking on your face, and it can read your thoughts and your fears, and he basically makes you his slave when he does that. So that's basically what's happening. Basically what happens in this movie is something that we see in a lot of other movies, where it's like, oh well, this is not what we see in the previous movie. It's different, but we're just gonna let you decide to not worry about that. We don't want you to worry about that. We just want you to look and to see what obviously takes place with the comedy and people getting shot and obviously the blood and gore, because the story is not that important. This is obviously rated R. The first Suicide Squad movie was not, so this is way more gory and bloody than the first one completely, because it goes strong, rated R, really hard, obviously. People getting shot, limbs getting cut off, people getting eaten by King Shark and whatnot. I think that the special effects were obviously great, but more or less, obviously, this is obviously, and it was compared on here too on ScreenRant.com, how it's compared to Guardians of the Galaxy, since James Gunn directed both of those movies. This is his DC EU version of it. So basically, this is the rated R version of, of the Suicide Squad, and also it is the rated R version of basically like James Gunn's obviously take on superheroes and comedy, obviously, which is obviously what we saw in the Guardians of the Galaxy. So it's basically like Guardians of the Galaxy 4.0, you could say, if you wanted to say that. Another DC superhero faction, which is the Legends of Tomorrow, the show I've been talking about on the CW TV network, has turned into basically that, a Guardians of the Galaxy ripoff, where they're heroes, they're cracking jokes, they're laughing, joking, drinking beer, eating nachos, pizza, stoner jokes, weed jokes, they're smoking weed on the show, they're having fun. That's what's basically it has turned into, and this is what DC is basically doing, copying what Marvel obviously has done with Guardians of the Galaxy, and also Thor Ragnarok, mixing in comedy into the movie when it doesn't have to be in it at all, and it actually is randomly weird and out of place, just like what happened in Iron Man 3, when the Mandarin was revealed to be the villain, played by Sir Ben Kingsley, but obviously he was never the villain in the first place. He was a figurehead, a dud. He was not real. He was not the real threat. That's why I didn't like Iron Man 3, because it made the villain hype it was fake. It wasn't real. But Whiplash, who was played by Mickey Rourke in Iron Man 2, was way better. That's why I believe, and I really do feel that when it comes to Iron Man 3 and the third Thor movie, Ragnarok, both of those movies were terrible. The sequels were better in both of those series in the trilogy. Iron Man 2 was better than Iron Man 3, and Thor 2, The Dark World, was better than Thor Ragnarok, because they were taken more seriously. It wasn't trying to be comedic and obviously get settle for laughs, and obviously trying to psych you out. That's what we see in this. Bloodsport, and the whole Bloodsport situation with Will Smith versus Idris Elba is one and the same. They need their the fathers, who obviously are in jail, assassins, killers, murderers, is what they are. They kill people, obviously. They're hitman. They obviously can't see their daughters, obviously, because of the crimes that they committed. So because of that, obviously, they're labeled as bad fathers. They're one and the same. There really is no difference except the name is the only difference you can see between them. And that's basically what it is. But in this, Will Smith kind of eased his way into his position in the movie as far as Deadshot went in the first movie. As far as Idris Elba's character, or Idris Elba as Bloodsport, he said, "I'm not a superhero," and he let Amanda Waller know, "I'm not a leader. I don't want to do this." But she was using his daughter as leverage over him to make him become a member of the Suicide Squad and join in on the mission. So that's what happened, obviously, because his daughter stole some watch and she was about to go to jail, but she obviously couldn't. He's like, "Oh, it's okay. She can't be tried in as an adult," but the state she was in, obviously, she could, even though she was 16, obviously. So that's what forced him to obviously have to jump into action to even join the team. The movie was okay. The visual effects were great. Other than that, story was kind of weird. This big, huge starfish is the bad guy, and he controls these people while shooting mini starfish out of his side armpit right here, or obviously, or I don't know if you classify that as a fin. It's not a fin. Anyways, the starfish Starro, he shoots it on these people, his mini starfish, out of his himself. He jumps on the face of everybody, sucks their face, and it's kind of like Invasion of the Body Snatchers. He talks through the people, and he kept saying, "The city is mine," and that's basically it. Nothing you could just stop me. The city's mine. How he died was obviously strange. Harley Quinn had this big, huge spear. She just jumped right through his eye right here, went inside him, and she obviously did not kill him. Obviously, he died. Obviously, because he had rats, obviously chewing on his veins inside his eye, and they popped his blood vessel in his eye, and then he died. It was all weird. The movie was okay, but like I said, it was just like I said, they try too hard. I think that's the problem I see with Hollywood now, is that they try just way too hard. It's got to be funny because the story is not that very interesting and great. Two different teams of the Suicide Squad were obviously down in Corto Maltese, as they are labeled as Task Force X. And they just got killed, and just all randomly the first 5 minutes of the movie, the team's dead, besides Rick Flag, who gets captured by some anti-insurgents who are regular citizens trying to overthrow the government down there. So they're basically the resistance. So he gets saved. Harley Quinn gets captured and tortured. The guy that was in charge wanted her to be his wife, so they were like falling in love randomly. Then she shot him and killed him after he told her he's going to kill people, including kids and women and children, and she shot him and killed him. So as far as the whole movie goes, I was even saying, looking at this compared to Mortal Kombat, because both of them were supposed to be reboots. Mortal Kombat was more or less a reboot, because obviously it was much more different in the story. More characters were in this movie than the previous two. This is basically just like I said, what I said to myself, this is like Mortal Kombat Annihilation in 1997. All the cast was changed but two people in that movie, which was obviously Princess Kitana and obviously Liu Kang, the actors that reprised the roles in the first one, kept them in the second one. They played, so it was the same two people, but obviously everybody else was changed. But in this movie, it's four people in the movie that was in the previous one. Then after that, everybody else is new, and you don't even know who they are, and they're not important. Because obviously they just half the team dies in the first 10 minutes of the movie, obviously, and you just get to see what happens before they died, and it's like they're indispensable. It seems like they're expendable and obviously disposable, and they're not important. So everybody was like, all these articles right here, they're saying, well, that's what they did differently in the first movie, is that they said nobody's off limits and whatnot. And even though they said, oh, you had the I guess you could say the psych out that you thought Rick Flag was not gonna survive. It was gonna survive, but he didn't. He died. Peacemaker died, but apparently he came back somehow. John Cena's character Peacemaker is still alive, and he's gonna have his own show on HBO Max soon. So that's what's gonna happen. So here's all the what's going on. I guess overall, Mortal Kombat was better than this movie. I gave Mortal Kombat about a 6. I think I gave it a 7 or 6.5. It's low. This is a little bit lower. I give this about a 5.5. Bordering on a 6, but Mortal Kombat was a better movie than this. Visual effects are great. Story is just very boring. You know, all the other superheroes who you don't even care about, who aren't funny. They just died. They didn't keep Captain Boomerang alive, even though they should have, since the rest of the team, you didn't know who the heck these guys were. They're just no names. They just all died, and that was just random. And they weren't important anyways, obviously. They weren't supposed to be taken seriously. That's why they were killed off, because they weren't important, obviously, as the rest of the team, who obviously survived at the end. So I would have liked if Captain Boomerang would have actually survived somehow and would have been able to capture Rick Flag himself, rescue Rick Flag himself while meeting up the rest of the team to obviously save Harley Quinn, but that obviously did not take place. So we'll talk about more or less the Suicide Squad more here. Out of 10, like I said, it's about 5.5. As far as, like I said, because it's on HBO Max with Mortal Kombat. Mortal Kombat was better than this movie overall. Way better. Yeah, taken way more seriously. This wasn't. Even though I didn't like how they had a Cole in that movie, like, as the new hero, even though he's not Johnny Cage. Johnny Cage will be the next one, but his outfit looks stupid. I didn't like that. But it was better. It was way better than this, the Mortal Kombat 2021 reboot, obviously, movie. So this is what GameRat says. It says all the major character deaths in Suicide Squad ranked. Suicide Squad does not pull any punches. Here's a ranking of all the deaths in the film based on how deeply they affected the audience. I guess they were surveying people's feelings. It's weird. One thing that nobody can deny about Suicide Squad 2 is that it doesn't treat its heroes with kindness. Serving in the team is a dangerous, hence the team's morbid title. Many characters meet their end over the course of the film, and not just anonymous extras. They are anonymous extras because I didn't know any of these people, and they're not important, obviously. That's why I got killed off in the first 5 minutes of the movie. Just like how they did Johnny Cage, and like I said, in Mortal Kombat Annihilation, first character killed, and the only main character killed in the movie. It wasn't important. I still didn't understand that, obviously. That was 97 years ago. The members of the team, I have them on both of those movies on DVD, the first 2 Mortal Kombat movies. The members of the team are now in over their heads when they arrive at Corto Maltese, and it shows. However, they give back just as hard as they can get and bring down a lot of villains. Overall, the Suicide Squad 2 shows that some deaths are more justified or relevant than others. And others, however, cruel as it may sound, nobody is safe, and the following character deaths make that clear. The original team, when it says Suicide Squad members arrive at the beach, they have no idea that most of them are about to die. That includes Blackguard, Captain Boomerang, TDK, Javelin, Mongol, and Savant. Only Harley Quinn and Weasel survive. Yes, Weasel's still alive at the end. You saw that in one of the end credit scenes. Almost all of them either get blown up or shot by the enemies. The only exception is Savant, who tries to swim away from the carnage. However, Amanda Waller kills him by detonating the bomb in his head. Despite the violence, these deaths mostly blend together. They don't have much emotional impact on the audience since viewers barely know these characters. That's why I said, still it does serve to demonstrate a vital point. Being the Suicide Squad can indeed be deadly. Being in the team, Mateo Suarez, he's one of the leaders. He's one of the least sympathetic characters in the film. He's a bad guy, obviously, leading the army of as a general here, taking over the country. He's evil. He's considering he attacks Jotunheim and wants to kill the Suicide Squad. He takes control of Corto Maltese after Silvio Luna dies, and is even more brutal than his predecessor. Harley Quinn kills him. In the end, she kills Silvio Luna. In the end, Juarez dies when Starro faces him. It's more difficult to feel sorry for him because he's despicable and cruel and ultimately got what he has coming to him. Silvio Luna, who was shot by Harley Quinn, he is a villain who plays a bigger part in the film. It's safe to assume they're going to die. When a villain plays a bigger part in the film, it's safe to assume they're going to die. Silvio Luna is the new ruler of Corto Maltese, who made the mistake of courting Harley Quinn. Harley Quinn returns his interest at first, but kills him when she realizes how ruthless Silvio is. He has no qualms about killing children, which didn't sit well with Harley Quinn. It feels like a justified death, since despite treating Harley with kindness, Silvio really isn't a good guy anyway. The next person that died is the Thinker. Other than Starro, the Thinker serves as the main villain in this film, thanks to Peter Capaldi's performance. It's easy for audiences to hate him, but to also become invested in what he's doing. However, it is still difficult to feel sorry for him when he meets his demise. They spelled demise wrong. The Thinker spent decades conducting cruel experiments on Starro. Thus, when Starro kills him, it feels like a justified, albeit brutal payback like the other villains in the film. He got what was coming to him. Starro, which is the big huge starfish, dies, and it's hard not to consider the giant starfish a victim to a certain degree. After all, the Thinker did experiment on the creature for close over 30 years. However, that's not an excuse for its actions, which include murdering hundreds of people. Starro might have been the instigator of all the bad events throughout the film, but it still participates in them willingly enough. The final battle between Starro and the Suicide Squad is long and difficult, but satisfying for audiences to watch. In the end, the squad gets its well-deserved victory. Melton, third person that is obviously top death in the film. He doesn't spend much time with the team, but he still manages to leave an impression. As the team's driver, he plays an important part in helping them infiltrate Jotunheim. However, he dies after getting caught in the crossfire. More than anyone else, Polka Dot Man is upset about Milton's death and Harley's ignorance of the fact that Milton was still with him when he died. Even though the audience doesn't see much of Milton, he comes across as a sympathetic man, and his death is impactful since he just wants to help the team with their mission. Polka Dot Man manages to survive for a long time in the end, though Starro crushes him when he's just finally feeling confident about his abilities and himself. At least he died while he was happy after using his powers against Starro, but it still feels like a hollow victory. Yeah, he says, I feel like a superhero that he dies. It was so stupid. Throughout the film, Polka Dot Man shows genuine concern for other people. Despite being a member of the Suicide Squad, he's not bad at all, and his death manages to shock the audiences. Number one is Rick Flag, of course, because he was in the original movie as the leader of the people who were leading the Suicide Squad around, because Amanda Waller couldn't be there physically, so he led the team around in the first movie and in the second movie as well. Rick Flag is leader of the Suicide Squad, one of the few genuinely good people. He meets who meets his end in the film. Peacemaker kills him, John Cena's character. When Rick Flag makes it clear he wants to release the truth about Starro to the public, the hard drive that was taken down there, he wants to keep it and show the public and leak it. Amanda Waller obviously made sure that Rick Flag was killed, so anybody who was going to be taking that drive was going to get killed because she got exposed. In the end, Starro died. Bloodsport got it after Ratcatcher gave it to him, and now they told Amanda Waller, we're going to expose this all. They showed her that they have the drive. If you don't let us go and let us be free, you're going to be exposed to the whole world, and you obviously be in hiding to run, which was obviously all the crimes that they covered up and they committed down there in Corto Maltese with all the experiments on people that they were in charge of. You saw people's bodies cut in half, people being experimented on, dead bodies and stuff. It was very sick, brutal, and graphic, and she was in charge of that, and so was the United States government. But obviously, Rick Flag wanted, even though he's looked at as the patriot and Boy Scout, he said he wasn't for this. and that he was killing, they were killing children. He wasn't for that, and he told Peacemaker, he said, "You're not supposed to be for this. You're the Peacemaker." But he said no good. He said that he didn't care. He can't have a international incident take place. So Amanda Waller made sure to let him know that he had to make sure nobody got that disk drive. He was the one who was supposed to have it and kill anybody who got it. And Rick Flag was the one who died trying to do that. He tried to get Ratcatcher, but she got away, and that's when him and Bloodsport got into a shootout, and he shot him in the neck, and you thought Peacemaker was dead, but he's not dead at the end. There was a cutscene, and it showed him being alive still, and John Cena's going to have his own show, Peacemaker, on HBO Max next year. Rick Flag's death is brutal and upsetting. Since he died for upholding his principles, Flag just wanted to do the right thing and alert the people what the government was hiding. What makes his death even worse is how deeply his friends, including Harley Quinn, will miss him. It was only Harley Quinn because everybody else he didn't know. They were already obviously all dead. The only person would have been Captain Boomerang from the original, team. So it says 9 things that don't make sense in a Suicide Squad movie. How did Blackguard betray the team? Played by Pete Wentz, the comedian. He's not funny though. The purpose of sealing, that's not what's his name? That's not his name. I think, is his name Pete Wentz? I think that's Pete Wentz, right? Pete Wentz. No, Pete Wentz is the lead singer of Fall Out Boy. What's this dude's name again? I forgot his name. He used to be on Saturday Night Live, and I don't think he's funny. Blackguard. Hold on. What's his name? Blackguard. Richard Hertz? No, but who played him? I'm trying to see who played him. He used to be on Saturday Night Live. I forgot his name. I don't know. What's his name again? Not Pete Wentz. It's male, 1995. Richard Hertz was known as a criminal. Pete Davidson, not Pete. Yeah, wrong Pete. It was Pete Davidson, not Pete Wentz. Pete Wentz is the lead singer of Fall Out Boy. Pete Davidson used to be on Saturday Night Live, but he's not doing that anymore. That show sucks anyways. It's gone down the drain anyways. It used to be funny, not anymore. The purpose of sealing the villains in Bellevue was to cut them out from the outside world and the place as among the most dangerous locations in the DCU. This was to point that Savant claimed he would do anything to get out of the prison, proving further how hellish it is in Belle Reve. And yet, Blackguard somehow tipped off the Corte Maltese government and supposedly had enough time to tell them about Task Force's X plan, the other half of the Suicide Squad. This shouldn't be possible, considering there was no way to get anything out of Belle Reve, let alone for Blackguard to communicate with people who were in another country. That's true. He said he was like, "Hey guys, it's me. I'm here. The whole team's here. I did what you said," and he got shot at immediately. And they were telling him, "What are you doing? Get down." So he sold the team out, and that's how they got shot and set up. Yes, that did not make any sense, and that happened in the first 5 minutes of the movie when you saw the whole first half of the team getting shot and died. Why was Rick Flag sent on Team A's doomed mission? Yeah, Rick Flag was one of the members of the Task Force X who had no villainous background, and he was the most intelligent character in the Suicide Squad. He was extremely loyal to Amanda Waller. So much so he was prepared to die for her in the first movie. All things considered, Amanda Waller had no reason to send Rick Flag in with Team A since they were supposed to die. Flag was the field leader of Task Force X, guided Team B to Jotunheim when they saved him. This makes Waller's initial plan even more baffling, as it would mean she planned on killing Rick Flag off, despite him being the only person who could keep Bloodsport and others in check. That's true. Why was Amanda Waller concerned? Why was she concerned about if they were supposed to die? The purpose of the first team was revealed to be simply a distraction for Team B to safely reach Corte Maltese shores. Amanda Waller even had a smirk of satisfaction when Team A was killed as planned for them to die the way they did. This makes her concern towards them needless, seeing as how it shouldn't have even mattered how they died since they were supposed to be eliminated anyways. Along with that, she tried to come up with strategies for Team A to fight the army, which was unneeded, as their potential survival would have meant that Waller's plan would have been ruined. Why didn't Harley Quinn care about Cassandra Cain? Despite Harley Quinn having a role to play in getting out the best of the story arcs in Suicide Squad, she suffered from lack of continuity. Her established chronology had Harley open a business with Cassandra Cain at the end of Birds of Prey, with Harley also being Cain's de facto guardian. However, this was never referenced in the Suicide Squad, and Harley wasn't shown worrying about Cassandra. This is a complete U-turn from Birds of Prey, Harley Quinn's solo movie, where she went the extra mile to save Cain's life from Black Mask, and they developed a familial bond. By this movie, though, Harley acted as if she had she never had any friends and acted irresponsibly once more. Why did the Corto Maltese army not investigate Team May's arrival? After realizing that Harley was still alive, the Corto Maltese officials kidnapped her in the following and killing of Silvio Luna, tortured her to learn who else was with her. There is absolutely no reason for this, considering Blackguard had already informed them of the team, and the army was aware of who was arriving. That's true, so that makes sense. Moreover, the general claimed he had no idea how many people were with the Harley, despite that his own forces had laid waste to a bunch of people earlier on. A simple investigation of the site would have revealed to him who was part of the crew. Meaning they had no reason to keep Harley alive. What made Team B so special to Waller? Yeah, it says the surviving members, Waller's choices for the surviving characters is a head-scratcher in itself, as the majority of them didn't come across as powerful or important on paper. Ratcatcher was relatively useless in Corto Maltese until the climax at a time where she was operating against Waller's orders. Similarly, King Shark had no idea what he was doing the whole time, making him a liability since he also tried to eat the squad. Polka Dot Man had a death wish and didn't use his full abilities until he was forced to do so. All in all, there was nothing about Team B that Waller would have found special about. It's ambiguous as to why she selected these individuals, especially since she personally disliked all of them. Why didn't Amanda Waller terminate her aides after their betrayal? It says here, in the first Suicide Squad, Amanda Waller personally shot each member of the team to ensure that nobody held information of her illicit activities in this movie. Though she was uncharacteristically generous despite her aides outright betraying her. They knocked her out, obviously, in the movie with a pole because she was acting crazy and wanted to kill the whole team. Waller was attacked by her team when she attempted to detonate the explosives in the skulls of Team B, but she was later shown recovering. Logically, she would have had her aides eliminated for turning on her, since she had no longer trusted them. Instead of punishing them, Waller sent them to accompany Peacemaker on a special assignment, which is hardly something a character as ruthless as her would do. How is Task Force X still active after Bruce Wayne's threat? One of the first Suicide Squad movies has, first ways that this first Suicide Squad movie has aged well is the presence of superhero cameos like Batman. At the end of that movie, Bruce Wayne threatened Waller and said that he and his Justice League will come after her if she didn't shut down Task Force X. This was somehow inconsequential to Waller, since the initiative was still up and running, with Waller clearly having never stopped it. Considering the Justice League is active and stopped a villain like Steppenwolf, there should have been no way for Task Force X to be active, and for no reason for Waller to take Bruce Wayne's threat seriously. Not take his threat seriously. How does Silvio Luna know who Harley Quinn was? Harley's capture originally saw her taking a Silvio Luna's compound, who planned on marrying her to have her by his side through his dictatorship. Luna somehow already knew who she was, claiming that the Corto Maltese people admire her since her actions were perceived as anti-American. But how he discovered her is mystery. How Harley has always operated as a street-level villain rather than on a global scale. Her antics were exclusively based in Gotham City, which shouldn't make her so popular. So that someone like Luna or the Corto Maltese people would know about her is somehow weird, obviously. Somehow Luna knew all about Harley enough for him to want to make her his bride. Yeah, that was obviously very weird. It says that here, more Screen Rant. It says the Suicide Squad movie does the biggest thing the Suicide Squad's 2016 movie does that failed to do. Unlike the 2016 movie of the same name, James Gunn's The Suicide Squad, it's just Suicide Squad 2, lives up to its name from the very start, proving that no character is safe. That's basically it. It says James Gunn's The Suicide Squad really does justice to its name and premise, unlike the 2016 movie, with the former functioning as a sequel linking back to the 2016's original Suicide Squad. The latter promised to introduce a team of DC villains who would reluctantly put their lives on the line to ensure Amanda Waller's mission was successful. The title of the film suggests many or perhaps all the members of Task Force X can die at any moment. but among many of the flaws, the first Suicide Squad movie only killed off a few characters, all of whom predicted to die early in the movie. These characters were Slipknot, whose ability to climb anything didn't really contribute anything to the team, El Diablo, whose backstory was tragic, telegraphed by his heroic sacrifice as soon as he was introduced, and Enchantress, June Moon's villain counterpart, who was defeated in a cliched final battle. Suicide Squad made it clear that Harley Quinn, Captain Boomerang, and Deadshot, and the Joker, who faked his death, in the film were always safe regardless of how dire situations looked. Fortunately, James Gunn's The Suicide Squad fixed this issue right from the beginning, and it ranks every character who dies, obviously. It talks about it. It says, here's more of the Suicide Squad. It says 10 biggest differences between the 2001-2016 version. It says in this one, anyone can die. In the 2021 version, this has a more sense of family. The humor levels out the violence in this movie. The 2021 version has more heart. The 2021 version has crazier villains. Deadshot versus Bloodsport. Amanda Waller is a worse person in 2021. The 2021 version doesn't force any DCEU connections. The 2021 version is rated R, unlike the 2016 version, which was PG-13. And it says Harley Quinn is less eye candy in 2021. So that's basically it. Like I said before, this was an okay movie. Like I said, more or less the story was basically much more entertaining, less entertaining than the visual effects were. So even though they label it as a reboot, it's technically not, because they still had characters from the first movie and carrying on here the second movie. Even though yes, they did kill them off all, but of course the only person is Harley Quinn and Amanda Waller in the end. So that's basically it. Like I said, the movie was okay. Visual effects were great. Story wasn't that good. Like I said, as you can see, there's lots of questions that need to be answered and ones that need to be asked. The reason why I didn't like it, like I said, is because the other superheroes that died from the first team were basically disposable. They weren't important. They didn't mean anything to you. They're here and they're dead. And the next team comes up right after them. It's like a video game. They respawn immediately. And it's like, look, this is what happens on the other side of the island. The new team's here to save the day. The other team's dead. And obviously, like I said, it was cool. It was okay. But like I said, the comedy was good. But like I said, I'm saying, that's just obviously something that, that wasn't cool. Then lots of questions obviously need to be asked if there's supposed to be another movie of this, another sequel. The Peacemaker's supposed to have his own movie. I don't know how that's going to work out, but seeing as how he was loyal to Amanda Waller, he obviously will be. The two members of the team who obviously went to go see him probably will be killed by him once he gets out of bed by Amanda Waller's wishes. Once they brief him and he wakes up out of his coma since he almost died and he knows his missions and objectives, he will kill them because they betrayed Amanda Waller. And we'll probably see him killing the Peacemaker, obviously played by John Cena, killing everybody and those two guys on the team, everybody who knew about the Suicide Squad in the second movie, because remember, she didn't kill the entire staff like she did in the first movie to cover her tracks, so nobody would know about it except obviously only the Suicide Squad members who were alive and who were obviously criminals who weren't going to be able to tell anybody, but the staff and the people who worked for her obviously were, so she didn't kill them like she did in the first movie and this obviously sequel. So that's basically what's happening. Like I said, just Guardians of the Galaxy 3.0, rated R, jokes, laughs, inappropriate, obviously funny jokes, but like I said, it's just James Gunn again, but James Gunn is doing Guardians of the Galaxy like 4.0 basically in this movie. Because that's basically all it is, Guardians of the Galaxy's a spin-off, not a spin-off, a rendition, a similar basically copy of it. Like I said, it's just rated R. It's basically Suicide Squad and it's like Deadpool and Suicide Squad sandwiched in between the Guardians of the Galaxy. That's all it is, That's basically what it is. The blood and gore of the first Deadpool movie and the second one with the comedy mixed in with the comedy of the team effort of the Guardians of the Galaxy, put in with this obviously the insane missions of the Suicide Squad, obviously, and that's what's basically it. Other superhero movies coming out that won't be doing good. This did okay, but it didn't do that well. the new Shang-Chi movie, the Shang-Chi and its Legend of the Ten Rings won't do good. The Eternals won't do good either. It's looking like the next Captain Marvel movie, which is called The Marvels now, probably won't be doing good. I can see the new Venom movie doing very well because Carnage is in it. It's obviously what everybody wants to see, myself included. Maximum Carnage, obviously. Woody Harrelson playing Carnage with Tom Hardy playing Venom. The next Spider-Man movie, which will be the last one with I forgot his name playing him, the actor who plays Spider-Man. The next Doctor Strange movie, like those will do good, but like I said, Shang-Chi and the Eternals, people don't care about those characters because they don't even know who they are, so they're not familiar to the audiences who are casual fans who like they kind of know some superheroes now, and if they've been watching Marvel for the past couple years, they're like, okay, I know all about the Avengers, but who are these guys? I've been watching all this stuff, these superhero shows, movies since the 1990s. Obviously, when I was born, growing up as a kid, but I was born in 1991. The X-Men movie, the X-Men comic, the superhero show, the animated one, the 90s, and Spider-Man one, the 90s, the Silver Surfer one, the 90s, the Fantastic Four one, the 90s, Spider-Man Unlimited. All those, I watched those, and even the Hulk and the Iron Man shows. But as far as these other characters, and I also watched Batman and Batman Beyond and a Superman show of the 90s, the one that obviously had Dean Cain on the TV, and also the animated ones. But I never seen any of these characters at all, so I don't know anything about them. Never heard of them. Didn't hear about them until the mid-2000s, obviously. So even the ones that are just randomly coming out of nowhere, like Shang-Chi and the Eternals, never heard about them. But obviously, like I said, when the casual fans don't know who they are, so they'll be kind of less entertained, but they'll still see it. But it's not looking like those movies are going to do good either way, because the hardcore fans are just like, myself included, like, I really don't care. I'll wait for I'll wait for Venom 2 to come out, which is Maximum Carnage. I'll wait for that a couple more months before I see Shang-Chi, which I'm not going to see at all anyways, or the Eternals. I'm not interested in it. Guardians of the Galaxy 3, obviously Doctor Strange 2 finally, because we waited for that. I've been waiting for that movie for like the longest now, along with anybody else who's a Doctor Strange fan. You're like, when are we going to see it finally? You know, like, Doctor Strange is awesome, especially with all his powers and abilities. And obviously his importance, obviously, and what happened before Endgame even happened, when he predicted the outcomes of what would happen in Infinity War, if with killing Thanos, obviously them saving the planet, the Avengers. So that's basically it for me in regards to Suicide Squad 2, the movie. That's my review for it. Like I said, a 5.5. I give it out of 10. It was okay, but like I said, the visual effects were more or less what carried the movie. The story was obviously something that had too many holes and too many questions asked. And Starro, they had nothing to kill this villain, literally. Like, they had nothing. They had no weapons. None of these guys had abilities except obviously Polka Dot Man. So they were obviously in a terrible position. And how the villain died was pathetic. This giant, huge starfish. Nobody could stop it. Nobody in the team. Actually, that's what sucks too. If they had the rest of the team with them, they obviously could have defeated this Starro together. But obviously that was not the case. It was like stupid. It's like, oh, we're gonna because it's like silly. It's like the other half of the team who could have done something died. These guys could have obviously contributed, but they obviously survived. The other team died, and now you're like, how are you guys going to defeat this huge giant starfish? They had nothing to kill it with. No powers, no abilities, besides obviously Polka Dot Man. Harley Quinn doesn't have powers, Bloodsport doesn't have powers, King Shark has no powers, Ratcatcher has no powers, Rick Flag, and obviously even before he died, Peacemaker. They couldn't do anything about this guy. They had no weapons, nothing. So, like I said, and because of that, this movie wasn't that good, and it was terrible to see that take place. So it was, like I said, 5 out of 10, average. It was okay. Visual effects were cool, but like I said, story fell flat because of obviously those reasons, and that's why I didn't like it. You looked at all these characters that died, and you're like, they're not important. Captain Boomerang unfortunately died, and he was just treated as disposable. Like, he was like one of the original guys from the first movie, and he didn't get a chance to survive at the end. Would have been nice if he did get a chance to survive, but he did not. He got killed, and he died with everybody else, including obviously Rick Flag at the end. And sucks to see them die, but Peacemaker gets to stay alive. He gets his own solo show, which is going to take place next year. So he gets his own show. So that's what's taking place, which we'll see John Cena on HBO Max playing the Peacemaker, which will be out next year in 2022. So that's basically it. That's the end of my video and my review for the Suicide Squad 2 movie. Thank you for watching. Let me know what you have to think about it if you've seen the movie, if you have not seen it, if you've seen the first one, if you're not interested in seeing this one, and how do you feel about all the superhero movies that will be coming out soon. Are you tired of them? Are you burnt out? Are you not interested? Because of obviously what Hollywood's been doing for the past, obviously, over 10, 15 years now, rebooting all these movies, and they're doing it more continuously. TV shows as well, bringing back TV shows from the 80s, 90s, rebooting them. It's just like, why? But it's because they're out of, they lack originality, and they're not caring about trying anymore. It's just reboot this, reboot that, reboot this. We all, that's all we care about, is trying to get people to watch these shows over again who already watched them when they first came out. But now we're going to bring it back and bring back new characters, bring back some of the old characters to usher in the new ones, but then kick the old ones out. That's basically what they're doing with a lot of these movies and obviously TV shows, and that's unfortunately terrible, and I'm not interested in watching all that, none of that stuff. But that we'll see what happens, obviously, with all these other upcoming superhero movies that are supposed to be out soon, and within the next couple of years, Thor 4, Doctor Strange 2, the next Spider-Man, and obviously Venom 2, which will be out in a couple of months, Maximum Carnage. So we'll see what happens with all those, because I'm really excited for Venom 2 and obviously the next Spider-Man movie as well. Thanks again for watching my video, and that's all I have to say about this again in regards to my review for the Suicide Squad 2 movie that's out now on HBO Max. And thank you again for watching my video. Thank you again. That's all I have to say about this. Bye. Thanks. Bye.